Hello and welcome back. Today we're building the Mitsubishi Lancer Evo 6 2001 Monte Carlo rally winner in 1/43 scale. This is the kit that was tooled by Hella, also released by Airfix. You can see it's a fairly good resemblance of the Evo from that period. Aren't many mould seams, most prominently though around the rear bumper here. Sanding those away. I got this as a part of a 6 rally car set, which you can see linked above if you want to see what else is in there. I primed this using this Citadel white primer, and then I painted it with a couple of coats of Volkswagen white, this kind of pure white, and then masked around the bottom of the bumpers, at the sides and the rear. Added this roof scoop and also the single wing mirror, as I was going to paint all of the rest of the body red, and I figured it was a good idea to add those parts now. There we are. And then this is Vallejo Ferrari red, which is from their Model Air set, so it's ready thinned. And it's being brushed about 10 psi through my Galeri Swallowtail. This dries in a kind of matte satin finish, so I'll need to add some gloss coat later. I'd done the rear wing in white and then masked that off before doing the end plates in red, and I'd also done the front bumper in white and then masked off the lower section too. So here it is, now time to remove this tape. There were a couple of small areas that didn't quite cover as much as I would have liked, so I touched up with a small amount of red on a thin paintbrush and did a bit of a clean up here just with this toothpick. There you can see how that will look. Not bad. So I've given it a light gloss coat using some Tamiya LP9, and here's the decal sheet. If you watched my unboxing, you might remember that there were some mistakes on this. I think the blue ink hadn't been printed, so I'm going to show you how I fix that later. So these details need to go in first. You need to fit these into the front vents. If you did want to do this as a road car, you could just add some details like this and leave most of the sponsor decals. Now, as you can see, these ones on the side are kind of grouped together, but the Lineltex writing at the top of the door numbers and the Rallye de Monte Carlo writing at the bottom are both missing. No Marlboro logos used in this race since it's predominantly held in France, but if you did want to do it for another race, obviously you could do the little Marlboro logos on this white square here. It's nice that it's got the sections for the door handles, because that really helps show you where they need to go. The printing quality of these is pretty good. The silver has a nice shine, although I've seen more recent Hella decals and they have improved over time. Just using a wet cotton bud to push them into place. Now what I did was I did these transparent decals with the little Lineltex logo and the Rallye de Monte Carlo writing. After putting them on, I realised I did them ever so slightly too narrow, but still, I only realised once I put them into place and I couldn't remove them, and I still think they're better than nothing at all. Now these ones are actually cut in half, just to help get the position right. You've got little holes which go around the holes in the roof. I saw some versions of this with an extra Michelin logo on the back, but not all, and this card kit doesn't have them. There we are. Once it cured, I made sure to punch through the holes on the roof. So once I was sure that those vent decals had set, I then added this one. I think it's quite a nice idea doing these separate, in case you did want to do like the Marlboro logo on the front bonnet. Now there's quite a few ridges and things here, so this one was quite difficult. Used a bit of setting solution to help. This one here with the Monte Carlo plate is a nice one because it's got the little jet washers as well. I'm using Mr. Mark Setter to help these adhere, and in places a bit of Mr. Mark Softer. Another nice feature of this kit is that some of the vents and this radiator intercooler section in the front here are picked out with decals. That makes it easier than painting these sections. Just remember to use a bit of setting solution to help them adhere to the shapes as best as possible. Use the badge to help find the middle when adding these parts. Here's the rear wing, added the lower section as well, which is all in white. And then the bottom section here needs to be red, so I just brush painted on some of the Ferrari red. Now I found that these Mitsubishi logos on the end plates were slightly too wide, so I narrowed them using scissors to make them more of a square shape. There we are. And that must go in just like that when it's all ready. Underside was all done in white, and then I added some detail first using this black. This is semi-gloss black from Revell. Then I went over with a bit of Vallejo steel in places like on the exhaust pipe and around the brake discs. Now this front skid plate needs to be a kind of Kevlar sort of mix, so I used this kind of beige paint. Also drilled a hole in the exhaust pipe, widened that using this file. Then I created this sort of Kevlar texture decal, printed it off. It's a transparent decal, so you'll see that with the kind of beige colour through underneath. It's not a perfect fit, but I think it's alright. Here's the interior, moulded in spare tyre and things like that. Extinguisher done in red. You won't actually see these seat supports, but never mind. Here I'm using a bit of Vallejo matte black for the tyre. Had to be very careful here, clearing up any mistakes. And picked out things like the wires and the electronics. That's how that will fit in. I'll add a bit more to that later. Now I probably should have painted the inside of the wheels, but I forgot until it was too late. As you can see though, I used this circular template with some masking tape to cut out the templates for the front of the wheels, which had already been painted white. Then painted the rest of the wheel in matte black from Vallejo. It wasn't perfect, so I tried to clear up any overspray. Dashboard also painted in Vallejo matte black and then adding the decals. It's quite a detailed interior. No roll cage, but good racing seats and details for seat belts and things like that. There we are. Picked out some of the switches with a bit of white as well. Here's the seats, painted matte black with that sort of Kevlar beige on the back. And then the decal seat belts. You've got the driver's name and co-driver's name at the top of the seats, so get those the right way around. And these little decals which go at the front and the back. As you can see, I painted the floor in black and the pedals using a bit of a silver paint pen. Then added the gear stick and handbrake. I'd looked at pictures of the real car to get this as correct as possible. I also cut out a small amount of this aluminium tape to hold the fire extinguisher down. I used that same tape for the rear view mirror and the wing mirror. Slotting the dashboard into place. Then there's these three things at the back that say they need to be red and black. I'm not actually sure what they are, but rather than getting the paint out, I just went over with a bit of Sharpie. It was a way of doing this as accurately and carefully as possible. If you know what those are, let me know. Certainly they weren't in the Tamiya 1999 Evo that I did. Picked out the holes in the wheel using a bit of panel liner. And there we are. Then you've got the Michelin logos for the wheels. I must have added these wheels and then forgot to record it. But they simply clip into place. You can add a bit of glue, but it's not needed. A little bit of black in the centre of these wheels. And after going over the front headlights in black, I then added a bit of silver. Did the same for the rear lights as well. The bodywork's all been clear coated using a bit of LP9 Tamiya clear gloss. Using a very fine brush and some semi-gloss black for the radiator here. Then, once I was happy with that, I went around the edges with the panel liner just to sort of fill up the space, leaving the Mitsubishi badge in red. Now, after leaving it secure for a couple of days, I gave it the wet sand with this Tamiya 3000 grit sanding sponge, being really careful around the raised detail. And then I used Tamiya polishing compounds, firstly the coarse and then the smoother one, and the sanding sponge to bring that up to a nice shine. Always very, very cautious about polishing kits this size, so I didn't want to overdo it. Used a wet cotton bud to remove any excess polish out of the panel lines. There we are, I'm pretty happy with that. Now once that polish had all been cleared up, I used some curved masking tape to do the rubber trims all around the window but also along the roofline. Again using Revell semi-gloss black. Try to clear up any excess using toothpick or cotton bud. And for the inside of the windows I actually used black Sharpie, trying to get it as smooth as possible by using some masking tape. Now the window was glued in with a small amount of PVA, and here's just a test fit on the body. Test fitting that bumper on now. Headlights needed orange indicators, and then they were glued on with a little bit of PVA glue. That'll dry clear. And then there's these small tabs around where the bumper needs to go on. I used a tiny amount of super glue gel just to make sure that was nice and secure. Careful not to get it on anywhere where there's any paint. Again, a bit of PVA for the tail lights. There wasn't actually any painting instructions for these in the kit, so look at pictures of the real car to make sure that you get them the right way round. You've got kind of a red band around the bottom and then a sort of third of a kind of curve of orange, leaving a bit of white in the middle. Used a bit of Sharpie on the outside to pick out the windscreen wipers. Here you can see me adding in that glass, as I said before, using a bit of PVA. Got a rear view mirror, that needed to be narrowed slightly to fit into the hole. And then I used a little bit of super glue at the front and the back just to secure it all. Again, a little bit of super glue to fit in the rear wing. There's 3 aerials included in this kit, which look a little bit chunky, but I have to say at 1/43rd scale it's a nice addition to have. I needed to open the holes a little bit wider using this pointed file, and then use a small amount of PVA to glue those in. Then you've got the external window decals. Firstly, you've got this kind of silver sun strip, so that needs to go on first. It's only as wide as the kind of black on the inside of the windows, so hopefully you include that detail. Then you've got the driver and co-driver names on the side. Make sure you get them the right way round. So here we are, Mäkinen is on the left because it's left-hand drive. Now, as again with the blue, the crosses on the Finnish flag weren't included, so I'll show you what I do later. The straight Mitsubishi sign goes on the back. The curved one goes on the front, and you've also got this little Rallye de Monte Carlo plate. There's the one at the front. As you can see, that needs to go over the silver section, so make sure that's cured first. So I also printed out some small little blue crosses for the Finnish flag. These needed to be trimmed down ever so slightly, but certainly look better than just having white flags on there. There we are. I also painted the window rubbers just at the bottom and on this one, and picked out the panel lines using a small amount of panel line accent, and there it is, it's finished. This is a pretty good kit. I'm a big fan of these 1/43rd cars, and the rally ones, being from this century, are some of the more detailed of them. Let me know what you think. Have you built one of these? Would you build one of these? And also have a look and tell me which rally car would you like me to build from this set next. I'm thinking about one of the Imprezas. Thanks a lot for watching. Leave a comment down below. Make sure you're subscribed. Hit the like button because it really helps. And I'll see you soon.